that defense is built if you don't have guys that can make plays, especially in the trenches. So they did play well. It's just hopefully this week they can continue this success again into Denver.
You know, it was interesting, too, is that the 49ers, when you looked at the final box score, were pretty dominant. I mean, they were plus 157 in total yards over Seattle. They were plus 11 in first downs. You know, it was really 49ers only had one penalty on the day. I think Seattle had 10. But let's flip the card, as they say, and talk a little bit about the defense. Nick Bosa, we know, is a great, great player. But I think he's at the apex right now. I think he is at, I would say year 3, year 4 is probably when you really reach your highest point as a player. And man, 2 games in, Bosa, in this game alone, he had 2 sacks. He had 5 hits on the quarterback. The Niners defensive front got 9 hits on Geno Smith. Charles Omenihu also got in on the quarterback quite a bit. To me, if there was one thing that was really impressive that we were hoping to see and ultimately did, it was that the Niner D-line looks really, really special. And when you look closely at the group, it's like they've got 2 defensive lines. They've got a starting D-line, and then they got a second D-line that can start for a lot of teams.
That they do. They mix it up well. They rotate guys. They make sure guys are going to stay fresh, pop them in and out of the lineup. And look, what can we say about Bosa? The guy has a motor. He won't stop. You saw him last week, 2 sacks. The guy he's had some hits and some hurries. The way that he plays the game, he's all over the field. He has a motor. He's sideline to sideline. And I love the Mickey Bosa because he can take on the big offensive tackle and he can still hold his ground. He's not like those pass rushers that are just all rush and they can't stand up against a double team. This guy's a football player, and he's a big-time football player. And I'm telling you right now, he's on a very, very short list. I think maybe Aaron Donald, and then if I had to get another guy, it'd probably be Bosa. And I say that, I hold him. That means I'm telling you how high of regard that I hold him, because Aaron Donald to me is still that guy. But then Bosa, I'm telling you right now, you can't miss. This guy is a surefire winner. And he's a football player, and this guy's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, tonight he gets Garrett Bowles in what is, I think, going to be one of the better matchups. But, man, Bosa on pace for 25.5 sacks and 85 pressures. I mean, last week, 7 pressures, 5 hits on the quarterback, 2 sacks. He was everywhere. But as I said, I mean, you got Bosa, Armstead, Kinlaw, Ebukam on that first-team D-line. That second-team D-line, Omenihu and Drake Jackson off the edges. Kevin Givens was incredibly productive last week in a very small, snap count. And then Hassan Ridgeway, people saw the Gibson interception that was tipped by Hufanga. That was all came about because of a Hassan Ridgeway, just a bull rush of bull rushes where he just waltzed the guard back into the quarterback and ultimately disrupted Geno's rhythm, and he threw it over the middle, and Hufanga tipped it, and Gibson picked it. And, the 49ers, if you look at the game, 2 interceptions, one for Gibson, one for Mooney Ward. The Niners secondary, we worried a lot about the Niner O-line and the Niners secondary coming into the year. And granted, it's 2 games against 2 just kind of pretty humdrum, middle-of-the-road kind of teams. But, man, I think both, if you're a 49er fan, you got to feel pretty good about the young O-line, and I think you got to feel great about the remade secondary, though. They look terrific.
Without a doubt, we understand offense entertains, but defense wins championships. In the San Francisco 49ers, if they're going to win a championship, Larry, it's going to come down to defense. How good can this defense be? How consistent can they play? Can they continue to get turnovers for the offense and give the offense a short field? Can they continue to dominate field position? If they can do their part, and the offense then starts to get better and picks up a little bit and start getting drives that are going to be able to sustain drives to keep this defense fresh, I think this defense, you have a Super Bowl caliber defense, because if you don't get injured and your guys stay healthy, and a big part of staying healthy, Larry, you know this and I know that, it's about taking care of yourself, 1, but 2, it's about limited your reps. Offense can't turn the ball over and put their defense on the field. Offense can't go 3 and out and get guys out there that are tired, because when you're tired, fatigue makes cowards out of, I don't care, anyone. So when you're tired and you have to stay out there constantly on the field, that's when you see most of the injuries start to happen. So if this defense is going to stay fresh, it's going to be predicated on what the offense does to help them stay fresh and keep the ball away out of the opposing offense's hand, for this defense can rest and be tough, like you said, because they got some gas, and they are hell when they're well and everyone's fresh and they're rotating and flying around the ball.
Before we get your first thoughts on the matchup tonight, I mean, one of the things that just has to be pointed out is that the 49ers and guys like me on draft day were like, get a safety. After like the second round, I'm thinking, you got to go after a safety. I looked at safety as a major need spot for the 49ers in the offseason, and they didn't do it. They didn't address that position, and you're sitting there going, why did they not do it? Well, they love Jimmy Ward. Ward, by the way, is yet to play a snap. He's on IR. I think he comes off between week 4 and 5. But they picked up Tayshaun Gibson for, just basically off the street, and they had Talanoa Hufanga, and they knew what they had in Hufanga, and I really didn't. And as, coming into this week, Pro Football Focus graded out the top 5 safeties in the NFL. Number 1, Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Steelers. Number 3 is Mike Edwards, who plays for Tampa. Jamal Adams was number 4 on the list. But coming in at 2 is Hufanga, and 5 is Tayshaun Gibson. And this is a 49er team. You can make an argument that one of their best players is Jimmy Ward. He hasn't even seen the field. And yet Hufanga and Gibson, I love that combination. I mean, it's like the Niners had a change in philosophy when it comes to their safeties. They'd gone with like physical guys who could really run. Now they're going with guys with ball skills. And Hufanga's got tremendous ball skills, and Gibson now has 28 career picks. And yeah. I think it's the way to go. I really think it's the way to go, because it looks accidental when the ball gets tipped up and the safety, free or strong, comes down with it. But you know better than anybody, it ain't accidental. The guys who pick balls continue to do it. Guys who don't continue to not. So it's about being a productive interceptor, or having those ball skills and being a guy who can take it away. They have a couple guys now that they feel good about. And 2 weeks in, I think fans are starting to notice the difference.
Oh, no question. Hufanga and Gibson, you watch the way that they've been able to play when you don't have Jimmy Ward, who you alluded to, will hit you. You interviewed, that great interview you had with him last week was pretty amazing. But what does that tell you, though? That tells you that the Niners understand how to build, and they build in the trenches. If you look at the turnovers, like you talked about earlier, Larry, and we talked about the show, being able to put pressure on the quarterback, and what it did was get him off his mark, so he was able to throw a bad ball, and Hufanga was able to tip the ball, and Gibson gets the interception because he's in the right place at the right time, and he knows how to secure the ball. So it all predicated and starts with that front. If that front, led by Nicky Bosa, if they continue to disrupt the passer and continue to disrupt and get him off his spot and put the quarterback at risk where he's off balance and throwing balls that he has no business throwing, this secondary now, like you said, they're a ball hawk, and they will get the ball. And you talked about Ward last week, the interview, you and I, you asked me, what did I take away from the interview, Larry? And one of the things that I told you is what he said, you're going to see a lot more interceptions this year. And because he explained it, the way he explained it, because they're not going to play necessarily a lot of man-to-man all the time. They're going to mix it up. When you play man-to-man, you're guarding that man, and you're not necessarily looking for the ball. You're looking for that man and then you hope your team tell you ball when it's in the air. Jimmy Ward talked about, how they're going to mix up coverage, play with some 4 and 3 and 2 and different coverages for they can see the ball. So now when you have a pass rush that's that gaunted in that way, they want to get after you. Now when the quarterback's back in the pocket and guys are already at their marks and at their spot, they can run underneath stuff. They can get their hands on balls. Other guys know that they're facing and seeing the ball, so you can get more interceptions and more turnovers. So I like what they're doing. You're right. these guys they got are some ball hawks, but not just that. You got to give the Niners credit because they have changed up coverages and not playing just so much man-to-man.
Yeah, it's a great point. Give me a quick thought on tonight. What are you expecting to see? 49ers in Denver. Russell has owned them. He's 17-4, but he's also 33. And I don't know about you, though, but to me, he hasn't looked quite like the Russell of old in the first couple games. What are you expecting tonight from the Niners Broncos? You think it's going to be a close game? Is it a Niner big win? Give me your thought.
Well, I think that you do have to look at, hey, Russell Wilson hasn't played great being in Denver. And you heard Sherman, you talked about Sherman, and Sherman, Richard Sherman came out with something, and also the safety, Chancellor, who's a ball hawk as well, and talked about how Russ was looked at differently in Seattle and how he wasn't held to the same accountability. And now you look at Denver, so sometimes we might, as outsiders, look at people and we're like, man, these guys are great and all the things that we see. But when you start to hear the Legion of Boom and certain guys say that, two guys that you have to respect their skills on the field, and two smart defensive guys come out and say, yeah, he wasn't held to the same accountability. Now he's at a different place. He's at a different place where he hasn't earned necessarily the street cred necessarily to go in and just not necessarily be held at that accountability level. So you're looking at now Denver. This is tough. Russ understands what he got booed already before. You heard some boos already in Denver. They're talking about, hey, we brought this guy in to be a game changer. We spent lots of money on Russ. This guy, he's supposed to be able to play at a higher level. He's supposed to make guys around him better. And that's the narrative. And that should be a true narrative. So I look at this game getting kind of back on point, Larry, where you'd ask, what do I think? I think this is a game that the Niners should win. I think this is a game the Niners are capable of winning. I think this is going to be a physical and a hard-hitting game because Russell understands what's at stake. He plays well against the Niners. But this is a game that you're looking at on the schedule, and now after the first 2 weeks, you see the way that they play. You need to win this game. You should win this game. Denver is going to be a challenge. Not saying that they're a horrible team, but they're not a great team. Let's be real, Larry. You know this is not a great team. And I'll tell you, I'll go even a little bit further. The Niners are better now with Jimmy right now. I know Trey's out, but right now, when you look at what Jimmy brings to the table today, they're in a little bit better shape. So I like the Niners winning, and I got them winning, and they should win decisively. Not saying it's some blowout, but this is still a team that they should handle.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I really do. I mean, I was looking at the matchup, and I was thinking, is this going to be close? Is Russell going to have his way? And then I'm looking at this going, Denver's committed 25 penalties in the first two games. Denver has 16 players listed on their injury report. They got a new head coach, a new OC, a new DC, a new quarterback, a new special teams coordinator. They just got, to me, it's kind of like, if this were like a foreign language class, the 49ers are taking like Spanish 3, and the Broncos are taking Spanish 1A. And they're just getting everything together. They're just kind of figuring out their mix. I think the 49ers benefited greatly from getting this Denver team so early in the season. And to me, if you can block Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory off the edge and establish the run a little bit, which I think the Niners can do in this game, I think this could be a very one-sided 49er victory. So we got a lot to get to. We got a couple hours to do it. We're going to hear from Chris Forster. We're going to hear from Tayshaun Gibson. We're going to hear from Javon Kinlaw. Caught up with all those guys this week. We're going to hear from Kyle Shanahan. Rex Ryan weighs in on the 49ers, going with Jimmy instead of Trey. John Dickinson will check in, boots on the ground, in about an hour from now. We'll check in with him in Denver. But coming up next, we're going to talk to Kyle Posey, from Niners Nation, the managing editor of NinersNation.com on the web. We'll get his thoughts on tonight's game, and also, what is the status of Eric Armstead? Is he going to go tonight? It's all straight ahead. It's the Kickoff Show. Niners on the road in Week 3. Lo Neal and Larry Krueger with you on 95.7 The Game.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly complicated, like how they require minimums or force you to use your rewards before reaching some arbitrary expiration date. But Discover isn't like that. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount, at any time. So you'll never have to jump through hoops. Unless you're like a trapezist, then by all means, go right ahead. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Hurry into the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool energy efficient appliances. You can also save with a smart thermostat. Right now, select Google Nest Learning thermostats are $60 off. Plus, find other great energy saving items throughout the store and check your eligibility for rebates in your area to save even more. Don't miss the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or dishwashers, but you will find the best deals on the best TVs, sound bars, and home theater systems. Shop around, but then make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't, you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael.
Video Only.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Why does Comcast Business power more businesses than any other provider? It has technology solutions that put you ahead, like the fastest, reliable network and serious savings. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security. Together for just $69.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. New 50 megabits per second internet. Security edge customers only. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable based on RootMetrics US report. Results vary. Not an endorsement.
You can count on Big O Tires for great service and even better deals on name brand tires. Now through October 9th, save up to $100 instantly on select Bridgestone and Firestone tires with installation purchase. See your locally owned Big O Tire store for offer details.
How's your mental health? I'm listening with Michael Phelps.
You know, I think for me in 2014, when I found myself in that dark place where I didn't want to be alive in those 4 days when I was in my room by myself, after sitting there and thinking about everything, I wanted to find a different way. I wanted to find a different answer. I was sick and tired of feeling how I felt, and that's why I started to seek help, and that's when I checked myself into a treatment center.
More at imlistening.org. Talk saves lives.
Is there a calculator that can't compute in your kitchen drawer? Recycle it at Staples. A shredder that won't shred under your bed? Or a collection of cables cluttering up your closet? Recycle them now at Staples. With Staples Free Tech Takeback, we'll recycle your old tech free. Plus, rewards members get $5 back in rewards. So if you have modems, mice, and mobile phones making a mess of your home, recycle them now at Staples. Limit 1 reward per month. Redeemable in-store only. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/recycling for details.
This is Loyalty Lab Interview 6. Subject, grandmother's loyalty. Margie, what do you do when your grandson misbehaves?
Angels don't misbehave.
Here we study the most loyal, like you and... Oh, there goes the lamp.
You shouldn't have put it there.
Shell and the Fuel Rewards program has our members' backs too. It's super easy to save on every gallon. Loyal, just like how you acted like that wasn't his fault.
Someone should clean that up before he gets hurt.
Yes, loyal, just like that.
10 years of FR.com. Terms and conditions apply.
What's your retirement look like? With Fidelity Income Planning, a dedicated advisor can help you create a flexible income strategy to grow and protect your wealth so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services member NYSE SIPC.
All right, fix me.
Now back to the Kickoff Show with Larry Kruger and Lorenzo Neal on 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. And by Harris Ranch Beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
That is correct. Larry Kruger and Lo Neal with you. 49er pregame on 95.7 The Game. The Kickoff Show as we get you ready for the Niners and the Broncos. Live from Denver tonight. And make sure that you tune in after the game. Alan Stiles and Kyle Madsen will take your phone calls and chop it up and talk, hopefully, about a Niner victory. But Lo, with us on the guest line here is Kyle Posey, the managing editor of Niners Nation, one of my favorite guys to talk Niners with, or we'll get him here on the line here in just a second. But, to me, there was one interesting report today in the pregame from Adam Schefter. He came out and reported that the Niners had the parameters of a trade agreement in place that would have sent Garoppolo to the Commanders at the scouting combine back in February, but the deal fell apart once the quarterback decided to have shoulder surgery. This was an ESPN report earlier today. I guess the deal, according to Schefter, would have involved multiple draft picks, and it was disrupted by the surgery that Garoppolo had on his throwing shoulder, which tabled everything, and that prompted the Commanders to move on from the talks with the Niners and then ultimately trade a couple third-round picks and a fourth to the Colts for Carson Wentz, who looked terrible today against the Eagles. But interestingly enough, Ron Rivera was asked about it in the postgame, and he calls the entire report BS. And he doesn't like the timing. Now, I don't know if it was the timing that it came out today or the timing of how it was stated that it was going down at the Combine. But what do you make of the Schefter report that the Niners could have moved Garoppolo to Washington?
I believe it. I think it's a situation where you had a commodity in Jimmy G that a lot of teams was interested, and they're like, but can we go all in on a guy that we don't know is going to be ready to go for opening day? And yet people might say, oh, it's going to be fine, but we don't. You just don't know, and a lot of teams just won't take that leap of faith. There's a guy that you know very well, and you know is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Broke a lot of records in the NFL and won a Super Bowl. It's going to be without a doubt a Hall of Famer, and that's none other than Drew Brees. You remember the Miami Dolphins wanted to take a chance, but all of a sudden he gets injured. You remember the shoulder injury that he had against Denver the last game of our season, and now you had Drew Brees that was going to be going a lot of places, but teams didn't want to guarantee the money, the shoulder, the rotator, what happened, how he dislocated it. It spooked a lot of teams. So without a doubt, I could see that happening for Jimmy G. But if you look at not just the Commanders, but you got to realize the Colts, the Browns, the Steelers, the Seattle. There is a lot of teams that Jimmy, I think that he could even start. He's better than a lot of these quarterbacks that are starting. I think Jimmy's just as good, if not better, than Tannehill from Tennessee. So I know that Jimmy's a good quarterback and a starting quarterback in this league. It's just a matter of the Niners just looked at it as, hey, look, to get over what we need to get to and get over the hump, they just don't know if Jimmy can get them there.
Yeah. Now, and you wonder, I wonder how Kyle and Jimmy's relationship progresses this year, and we'll get more into that as we go. But now we welcome in Kyle Posey from Niners Nation on the guest line. Kyle, thanks for a few minutes. Niners are 1-1. They just got coming off a 20-point victory over Seattle, a game where they lost Trey Lance for the year. What's your two-game report card looking like on the 49ers?
Well, real quick, keeping it Jimmy, like you guys are naming the quarterback that he's better at, and there's no doubt that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. There's no doubt he's better than Ryan Tannehill, but the bar has to be higher than that, right? Like, this is a team that just went to the NFC Championship. This is a team that should be consistently winning, with the roster that they have. So that's why he's held to the standard that he is.
No doubt. I think also Kyle Shanahan knows him better than anybody, and he saw repeated mistakes. We're seeing only the errors of commission. We're not seeing the errors of omission, right? We're not rolling that. I mean, some people take the all-22 out, but most people are not rolling back the all-22 and seeing the throws that Jimmy didn't make that were out there and the plays that were out there to be made that he just didn't make. We're only seeing the mistakes. So Kyle sees it all. And so he's got a much different perspective. What was your thought on how Jimmy played last week? It seemed like he took over the game and may have inherited the game plan that was intended for Trey Lance, but he seemed to be comfortable with that plan of going down the field.
Yeah, I think if anything, that game plan that we saw in the first quarter and the second quarter, when it was Trey Lance's game plan, that kind of led Jimmy to play a little bit looser. Like he was playing it down the field. He was playing it outside the numbers that we're not used to seeing that. And then they made adjustments in the second half. And now we saw, most of the game plan that we saw last year. But you mentioned just going back and seeing the all-22. Like there were a lot of the same issues where when he would roll out or he would have to extend the play, he would take that first option, not let the play develop, and then a guy on the second or third level would be open. So it's kind of the same old, same old. He is a good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. And the 49ers, I think that they're so stacked that all of this might not matter, but I still think that he's going to be who he is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. When you look at this team, you're looking at Denver tonight, compare and contrast these two teams, even your thoughts on Russell Wilson and where he's at this point in time of his career.
Yeah, I don't think it's too surprising that Russell Wilson has struggled. I was very surprised just at some of the talk this offseason. So you see everything that went on with Denver last year, whether it was Vic Fangio's fault, whether it's Drew Lock's fault. They drop in a new quarterback and all of a sudden they're going to be the Super Bowl contender. I don't think so. And we're seeing some of the issues that Russell Wilson's having. Those have been the issues for the better majority of the last 2 years in Seattle. So he's playing exactly the same.
Now back to the Kickoff Show.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Russ is playing a lot of the same way. Like he bails a clean pocket when he doesn't have to. There are players wide open over the middle that he neglects to throw the ball to because that's never really been his game. He's really an off-schedule quarterback. So like the compare and contrast to him and Jimmy G couldn't be further on the other end of the spectrum.
It's funny. Russell, I don't think Niner fans would think it's funny, but he's 17-4 against them. To me, one of the reasons he's been so good against them is that the 49ers at times have gotten out of their rush lanes and given him huge avenues to run, and he'll break them down. And then it seems like once a game over the last 5 or 6 years, he would hold the ball for 7 to 12 seconds and just break down the entire defense and make plays off schedule. And it's just, I don't know what tonight's going to look like, but there may not be any Eric Armstead. It sounds like Kamoko Toure is his status for tonight. He's been excused. He's got a personal matter that's going to keep him from playing. How do you think, can the 49ers come up with a coordinated rush against Russell, stay in their lanes and avoid giving him the big running avenue?
Yeah, they have to. There's no doubt about it. If they're going to win this game, it's going to be because the defensive line didn't allow anything. And they've been really freaking good so far through 2 games. But that was the expectation at the same time. So they're kind of expected to dominate. You said it. You hit it on the head. They just have to be under control. Earlier in his career, Nick Bosa was a little reckless in playing Russell Wilson. He would bite on play action. And he would give up contain on the outside. So I imagine if they are just consistent with how they're rushing the passer, they're going to be fine. But I think the winner of tonight's game is going to be whoever dominates on both sides of the ball, because this is going to be the first true test for the offensive line, who have a bunch of young guys, a bunch of inexperience. And I don't know if you guys have seen him yet this year, but DJ Jones looks like DJ Jones. He's a wrecking ball, man.
Yeah.
That he is. When you look at the Niners, you talk about, what the defense is. We understand offense entertains, but defense wins championships. In this San Francisco 49ers, it looks like is a championship type of defense. But what can you expect from the Niners offense tonight against the Denver's defense that can get after you as well?
Yeah, that's a good point. So we always talk about, what we're expecting, and I don't think people are giving enough credit to the Broncos defense because of how poor they've been on the other side of the ball, but they are right there in a lot of numbers and a lot of statistics with the 49ers. So if the 49ers are top 5, the Broncos are bordering, 8 to 10 range. So again, if Patrick Surtain plays, that's going to be a big lift for him. He's a really good cornerback, and that's going to allow them to be even more aggressive. I do think only having one edge rusher like Randy Gregory, being able to lock that guy down will go a long way. So Trent Williams, Mike Lynch, you're going to have to be on your best behavior tonight, that's for sure.
Kyle, what do you make of the Niners' run D? Because Afanga has impacted things so greatly with his instincts in that cover 3, where he's in the box and he's attacking that mesh point and he sees it and he's not hesitating. But in some ways, it almost takes away. Like, we don't know exactly how much the Niners are going to miss DJ Jones. How good is Kinlaw and Armstead inside against the run? Because Afanga has made such an impact. What's your guess? I mean, is this a good run D? Is it an elite run D? How much do they lose by losing DJ?
Yeah, so DJ Jones arguably the best run stopping defense tackle in the game. And by letting him walk, you are essentially betting on Javon Kinlaw to kind of step into his shoes and fill the same role. So far, so good. Armstead's done a really good job of taking on double teams. Kinlaw done a really good job of doing the same. So not having Armstead tonight would be a little concerning, in that, knowing that these two are the reasons that Warner, Greenlaw, Hufanga are able to run 3. The 49ers can use Hufanga in the box as a Cueto linebacker because their defensive line is so good. So I think if Armstead can't play, seeing whoever replaces him, whether it's Hassan Ridgeway, obviously on the early downs when they're going to run the ball, that's going to be huge to keep an eye on. But I think they're an elite run defense. There's no doubt about it. They are so fast, and I think that's one of their most underrated aspects on defense, that they're able to close the gap between them and the ball carrier within a split second, and that's why the other teams live in third and long.
How do you look at Denver? If you're looking at Denver and Russ in this offense, how are they going to attack this Niners defense, in your opinion, to be ahead on the sticks? What are some of the things you think Denver's going to try to do against this defense?
The most susceptible area I think 49ers have on their defense is like the intermediate portion, right on the numbers, the hash. So not over the middle, because you don't want to throw anywhere near Fred Warner, and apparently nowhere near Talnoa Hufanga, who all of a sudden is one of the best safeties in the NFL. But that area, I would say 10 to 15 on the outside of the numbers, that's probably their biggest area of weakness. So if Jerry Jeudy has time to get in that spot, that's where I would attack if I was an opposing offensive coordinator. But you have time to throw the ball there, and opposing offenses haven't had that chance so far. So it's a lot easier said than done, and all defenses have a weak spot. So the 49ers and Miguel Ryan do a good job by making sure if you are able to get off those passes, you are going to have to have some protection, and it doesn't really happen with the line.
Kyle, before we let you go, last one, and we appreciate your time, and people should check out what Kyle Posey writes on Niners Nation, and maybe you can tell us on your way out exactly what you got cooking for the rest of the weekend, what people can see if they go to Niners Nation. But Lo and I are going to get into it next, so we'll throw it to you first. What's the key to victory tonight? If there is one or two keys to getting it done on the road, what is it?
I would defensively not challenge Patrick Surtain, because he really is that good of a cornerback. And we have seen this quarterback, I don't want to say be reckless with the football, but kind of be careless in a sense, to knowing where the best defender is on the other side of the ball. And there can't be any moon balls. Like, that's really the only way that Denver is going to be able to beat them, just with explosive plays. So if they make Denver march the field on these double-digit drives, but that is going to be really tough to do against this defense. So limit the big play, hang on to the ball. Sounds really simple, but that's the recipe for success for the 49ers. I would also say make it a point to get your studs the ball early. Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk. I don't think that Denver has enough answers on that side of the ball to stop those guys. Yeah, it's a great call. Kittle makes his 2022 debut tonight. Kyle, for people who have never been to NinersNation.com, tell them what you guys have going on either today, the rest of the day, post-game, and, of course, coming up early this week after week 3. Yeah, so we're going to just keep breaking down the game, try to see and look at the game from a different perspective, whether that's people who are shining right now that we've been talking about, and we want to kind of see who stands out in a way. So hopefully that is Jimmy G. Hopefully that is the entire offense. But we're going to let the game kind of tell us where to go. And then, as always, we're going to put a personal touch on things. So check us out, NinersNation.com. Man.
You guys do a great job. Kyle, enjoy the game, man. Always great to wrap with you. We'll do it again.
Thanks, guys. Take care and enjoy it, too.
Take it easy, Kyle Posey from NinersNation.com. They really do a good job. All right, let's get into that same question, Lo. What's your key to victory tonight? I mean, there's never one key in a football game, right? There's multiple keys. But what jumps out to you as the 49ers are probably right now on the field kind of warming up for this thing?
Yeah, I think with me, Larry, it's always simple. Don't kill yourself. The self-inflicted wounds. You're going to be playing on the road, hostile environment. Denver's is still a tough place to play. I think the biggest thing is just to limit the penalties. We saw it in week one, 70-something yards of hidden yardage that Chicago was able to get over the Niners. They only had 28 yards in penalties compared to, the 100 yards in penalties by the Niners. That's got to be big. So tonight, you got to limit your penalties. You can't lose that battle, and that just puts it on even kill. And if you can do that, and then I say go to the run game. Be sure that you know who you are. This team is a running football team and sets up the play action with Kittle coming back into the program, into the game. Now you can run and pass with Kittle because he's such a dominant blocker as a tight end. Now you're going to have that particular guy who Jimmy G is very accustomed to getting the ball to, and with these receivers. So my biggest thing is don't have the self-inflicted wounds, the penalties, and then be effective running the ball, win on first and second down, running the ball. And now, hey, diddle, I love to say this, Kittle down the middle.
It's funny. Russell Wilson's had so much success against the Niners. I mean, he's got 37 career touchdowns against the 49ers. That's the most of his career against any one team. And as we mentioned before, he's 17-4 against the 49ers. So he comes into this game with tremendous rhythm. But to me, if you look at the numbers of Russell this year under pressure, you can really see that it's not the same Russell of old. When he's been pressured this year, though, 6 of 20 is what he is. That's 30%. 30 yards total, 1.5 yards per attempt. And the Niner defense on the other side of the ball, their defense has gotten pressure on 47% of their opposing team's dropbacks this year. So the Niners pressure the quarterback pretty consistently, and they can do it with 4. And Russ has kind of shown this year, if you can pressure him, he is going to make mistakes, and he's not going to light up the skies. So it's about pressuring him, but it's also I almost think it's more important, Lo, that you contain him. Because if you give him that avenue on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 15 or anything in between, he's going to take that run and gash you. And you know what? It's absolutely debilitating for a defense to do what they need to do. Stop a team on first down. Stop a team on second down. Get to 3rd and long. Suddenly you're teeing off. You're getting up the field. The wide 9. Coach Eric's going crazy. Your ends are bending the edges, and they're burning the edges. And Russ steps up and runs 22 yards for a first. That is when that's when defenders start muttering to themselves, and it crushes their spirit, it crushes their soul, and they gotta stay in their lanes against Russell. Maybe more so outside of Kyler and maybe Lamar, outside of those two guys. This is the guy that if you give him a lane, he's going to take it and he's going to burn you.
I used to be in the same church, Larry, as you in there. Just the last couple of weeks, Russ seems like he lost a step. He looks like he's hesitant to run. You watched him against Seattle, and you watched him last week. Sometimes he'd get in there like he was going to take off, and he'd back up in the pocket. Just seems like a lot of those hits, like that heavyweight fight, those body shots have seemed like long-term has taken a toll on little Russ's body, because he doesn't seem like he's so willing to run right away like he used to of yesterday years. So I don't know if he's that guy now that can just kill you with his legs like he has been able to do in previous years. But I think, yes, you do got to contain him. You do got to keep him in there, and he'll throw the ball away because he just don't want to get hit as much. I can see that. I can see him uncomfortable. You see him in the pocket. He gets uncomfortable. He gets rattled. I think this could be a big night for this defensive front, and that's what's going to be the key too, is hit Russell, keep him in the pocket. I get that, but start fast and make sure you put some pressure on this quarterback and on this team because they don't know who they are yet. You hear about the head coach, the decision-making they made in Seattle, decisions that they're doing, talking about a rookie coach, him and Russell, is this a project? What's going on? So there's a lot of mumbling and grumbling in Denver, and if you jump on them, I'm telling you, this Denver crowd and fan base, they're not like the Niners. The Niners going to yell, be in it. This Denver fan base, if you watched them the other day, Larry, they're not happy right now. For some reason, they are not feeling this team like you thought they would be, and Russell happens to be one of the reasons why.
Yeah. No, if you really think about it, it's logical because the 49ers had that run of 20 years or whatever, was 16 years in a row where they won 10-plus games every year. If you look at Denver's had a ton of success through multiple different regimes, multiple different head coaches, and times have been lean in recent years. And I think the fans there are just getting sick and tired of losing. They're used to winning, they're conditioned to win, and they're not winning. And now you got Kansas City in the division, and you got Herbert and Mahomes, and the Raiders are built up, and they're feeling some frustration. I'll tell you the other thing that I think is key. Draymond Jones is 6'6" in the middle. You can't let him read the quarterback's eyes and bat down 3 passes on third down. You got to hit him in the gut and make him, take away his raising of his arms. You got to run away from DJ Jones. You can't just go right into the teeth of their defense. We know that DJ Jones doesn't give any ground against the run, so I wouldn't waste a lot of time trying to run in the A gaps. And I think you got to chip these edge defenders. I mean, Chris Forrester was talking this week at the podium about the challenges of getting ready for this game, and he talks about the challenges of dealing with these edge rushers. And Randy Gregory was in Dallas last year. He's now in Denver. He's on the weak side. Bradley Chubb's on the strong side. He was a first-round pick. He's had some injury concerns, but these are guys, you got to chip these guys. You got to chip these guys. And I think Ebukam could have a huge game. He's going up against Cam Fleming, the former Stanford offensive lineman, who's really a journeyman. And Ebukam has just got great strength, great speed. I think he could really eat Cam Fleming's lunch all night long. And then the other area in this game I think is going to be interesting to watch is that the Broncos have a pretty strong D. I agree that you stay away from Surtain. Don't pick on Surtain. Go the other side. Surtain's their best player in that secondary. They got a really strong defense, but there's weakness on that second level of this Bronco defense. Their linebackers are not known for their coverage skills. So get those slowish linebackers, Jewell and the former Niner Jonas Griffith, get them isolated on running backs in space. And now with Kittle coming back, maybe get Kittle isolated on one of these linebackers in space and see if you can, Kyle's so good at targeting and exposing that conflict defender, or putting a defender in conflict by, showing him run and then putting him in the pass, trying to burn him in pass coverage with a faster, more athletic piece. I think they do that tonight with Kittle and their backs and receivers, trying to isolate those second level defenders. I think if they do that, there's big plays to be had all night long.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that you're going to see Kittle really play well tonight because of the fact what he can do for you in the middle of the field. When you have a linebacker like a Kittle and Kelsey, and you watch what those guys are able to do, they're just too fast for linebackers. They're too physical and too strong for corners and safeties. So it's a mismatch trying to figure out how do you guard those guys. And because if you look at DJ Jones in the middle, if you're saying, okay, how are we going to do this? Are we going to make this guy, we're going to move him and stretch the field? And DJ understand he's going to have to slow read some things because he knows the boots and the counters and the misdirection. And you're going to have a guy that think he knows this offense. He's going to guess a lot. And you're going to guess, and sometimes you're going to guess right, you're going to guess wrong. Sometimes he may run completely out of the play and think, oh, I thought thought they were doing this. They're going to make things look a certain way. And the way the Niners run with Kittle, it's just so much different. Low hats coming off the ball, looks like run, and now Kittle's able to slip behind guys and use his speed because he's coming off the ball, and especially if you can have some success running the ball early, you make just Kittle unguardable. Actually unguardable, especially for a linebacker. So I think Kittle has a big game on his opening day back because he's been out for 2 weeks. I think in Denver, I think you're going to see Kittle be huge in the passing game. And Debo and Ayuk, they're going to get in the game too. But Kittle is going to be a chain mover tonight. I see this guy having 7 to 8 targets at least, having over 70 yards. If you set that over or under right now for 65, I take the over. I think that's what kind of tight end Kittle is, and I think he's always open because he's always usually going against linebackers and safeties.
We got more to go. We're 1 hour in the books. We got another to go. The Niner O-line last week was phenomenal. They allowed 2 pressures and 1 quarterback hit against Seattle. Now here comes Bradley Chubb. Here comes Randy Gregory. It's a huge challenge for the 49er O-line on the road with all that noise there in Denver. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk a little bit about what we're going to see from the offense with Jimmy Garoppolo. Do the 49ers have a better chance at the Super Bowl with Garoppolo than they did with Trey Lance? We'll get into that question and more as we get you closer to kickoff. It's the Kickoff Show. Lo Neal and Larry Krueger on 95.7 The Game.
Bart is turning 50, and we'd love to celebrate with you. Get 50% off your ride in honor of Bart's 50 years of service to the Bay Area when you pay with Clipper. That's 50% off Clipper Bart fares for the entire month of September. Add Clipper to your digital wallet for free. If you're eligible for other Clipper discounts like youth or senior fares, you get to take an additional 50% off those too. Details at bart.gov/50 years. That's bart.gov/50 years. Celebrate Bart's 50 years of service with us this September. Let's go!
Golfers, now at the Golf Mart, it's time to hit faster, longer, and straighter with Titleist. The new TSR drivers are designed to maximize distance and elevate your performance. Titleist TSR driver, pushing for perfection every day. Come into the Golf Mart for the new Titleist TSR drivers and get custom fit for free today. Can't make it in store? Visit us online at worldwidegolfshops.com. The Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee and family owned and operated since 1984.
O'Reilly. Improve fuel mileage with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. A clean fuel system can increase your vehicle's performance and gas mileage. Get Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner starting at $9.99 and earn 10 times O rewards points on your purchase. Get the most out of every gallon. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop O'ReillyAuto.com today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you may be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Harris Ranch, we do beef.
We are all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. September is World Ozone Month, so it's a great month to get rid of all your aerosol sprays and harsh cleaning products. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
On the south side, we got 6 poly panels, and please make sure they're flush.
Kwame is converting everyone on the block to solar power.
Please get a crew to wrap up 202 South Duane.
He needs more certified installers before the sun sets on his business boom.
Well, let's pick up the pace. We got a long day.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 10/1. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
The annual Harmony Walk to End Hunger and Homelessness in Richmond is October 22nd. Register at gripcares.org. Hear local music, take your kids to the bounce house, and make a difference together. Register now at gripcares.org.
Now back to the Kickoff Show with Larry Kruger and Lorenzo Neal on 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. And by Harris Ranch Beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
Welcome back to the Kickoff Show. Larry Kruger, Lo Neal, brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef and Jim Beam. Woo! Those are some sponsors, Lo. Welcome back to the Kickoff Show as we get you ready for Week 3 action. 49ers in Denver tonight, taking on the Denver Broncos. And the inactive list, Lo, is out. And there's one name on here that we need to discuss. Okay, Daniel Brunskill, Tyler Croft, Nick Zakel, Kamoko Toure is out with a personal matter. Ty Davis-Price, we knew had the high ankle sprain. He's out tonight, so we're going to get our first look most likely at the rookie Jordan Mason. But the other name on the list is Eric Armstead. Armstead is not going tonight. He's got a foot injury. I was just talking to Kyle Madsen off the air. Kyle said he showed up on the injury list on Wednesday. And this was definitely beneath the radar for a lot of people. And here it is, game day, and he's not going to go. And this is a major loss for the 49ers defensive front. What do you think? No Armstead. Armstead is probably their most well-rounded defensive alignment against the run and pass. And to not have him is huge.
Armstead became a household name. Everyone wanted it was Armstead because, he played locally in Stockton area as an offensive tackle, and people said, hey, the guy wasn't necessarily a defensive player. He goes to Oregon and turns himself into a defensive player. Come to the Niners, and at times it looked like, okay, who is Armstead? Is he going to be on this roster? And guys questioned him. And a lot of people questioned Armstead, Hart, and everything else early in his career. Then he goes on to turn into this boy dog and just starts crushing everyone. If you look at Armstead in the way that he plays and he's around the ball, this guy has made a name for himself as one of the best interior defensive line. He can play at defensive end. He can play at the 3 technique. He can play over the guard. He can play over the tackle. Armstead will be missed tonight. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's a guy on this roster that is a mainstay on this defense. So I think that's a big name that you talked about, Larry, that this Niner team won't have. And that's some tall cotton field, to be in.
Yeah, no question. And they're going to have to, guys are going to have to step up. Now, they do have quality depth. Givens is really good. I think he had like 3 tackles for loss last week. He only played a handful of snaps. Hassan Ridgeway is a powerful veteran defensive tackle who doesn't give you a ton as a rusher, but he is very powerful and he can bull rush. And then Kerry Hyder. I talked to Kerry Hyder this week. Kerry Hyder's a veteran. He can play inside. He can play outside. This is his second stint with the team. And, between Givens and Ridgeway and Hyder, those 3 guys are going to have to pick up the slack. We may even see Drake Jackson in a little bit more of the NASCAR package lining up inside. And, Menahue's a little bit of a bigger body. So Jackson and Menahu go roughly around 265, 270. So maybe they could log some snaps inside. But that's a major one. The thing about Armstead that's so interesting, Lo, is that when he came into the league, he's high cut. He's always been high cut. He's 6'7". He's got long levers, long arms, long legs.
Sure.
But, man, it's such a technique-rich position. His functional strength between when he came out of Oregon as a first-round draft choice and what he is today, it's night and day. Night and day. It's amazing,
Larry,
really.
You have been around the game, Larry, because absolutely, it's night and day. You've seen him when he first came in. He was weak. He was fragile. He is night and day. The guy's put on some good weight, 20, 30 pounds, and it's solid. It's night and day who he is. And like you say, when you talk about Ridgeway, Givens, and Hyder, when you talk about, okay, these guys now got to do it by committee, it's different. When you have your big brother with you and you go out there and you have your big brother, Larry, you know how that was, and your big brother, you see him whoop some guys up, and you're like, okay, he tell you, jump in there. You feel a little brave because big brother's got your back. That's what you're losing with Armstead. Using that guy that could go out there early and set the tone. Now when Givens and Hyder and those guys, Ridgeway, come in, they already know the big brother's there. Tonight, big brother's not there. And so it's by committee, but now these guys, someone's going to have to step up and say, who do we look for? Because you knew what you got at Armstead. You said, okay, I hope that he gets tired if I can go in and give him a spell, and you want to go. Now these guys' opportunity to really be a starter, because I'm telling you right now, this is going to be by committee. So you go in there, if you're Ridgeway or Givens, which one, Hyder, you're going to go in there and you need to strike gold quick. You need to strike oil. You need to hit oil quick because you want coach to say, go back to that guy. He's the guy. So this is going to be interesting to watch this rotation to see how coach can find out who's going to be that guy that they're going to get the majority of these snaps, especially tonight in Denver and Mile High. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's all about playing complementary football. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
No Armstead, if you are Kyle Shanahan, do you call a different game offensively because you don't have a key defensive tackle on your defense? My point is, I guess, do you play more ball control? Do you try to? The Niners dominated like a 2-1 time of possession advantage last week against Seattle. Their defense was fresh all day. Do you do that again here? Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, these are big physical running backs that can wear you down. Do you try to play more ball control and keep your defense on the sideline in this particular game because you don't have Eric?
Yeah, I don't know what our side's going to do, but I think if I remember what I would do though, Larry, is I say, okay, I want to see how these guys are going to play. They're going to usually, when you're coming in, right, and you're going to be guy, it's going to be starting tonight, and you're like, okay, who's the guy? Okay, what am I going to do? The first play, why not trap him? Why not let the guy come through and think he's got some, boom, someone's coming over to trap him? Why don't we not come down on the double team, a hard down block because he's so fired up? Let him come through the line of scrimmage, run a counter right to where he's going to be. He thinks he's running free, and all of a sudden you run the ball a little misdirection and where he gets out of position and the run right there. So look for Denver to try to exploit some of these guys and say, okay, here it is. Here's a guy that's going to be amped up, jacked up, ready to go. How do you take advantage of that energy? Okay, let him fly at Phil, and let's do some misdirection and come back to that gap where he's going to be vacated. So I look for some of that stuff that Denver was going to do. So on Shanahan's side, he's got to just say, look, offense, look what we got. We got to make sure we can take care of our brothers. Our defense has been playing elite. Let's go out of here. Let's make sure we can eat some time at the clock. Let's make sure that with ball control, let's not have any dumb penalties. Let's go out here. Let's ball control, no dumb penalties, but also continue to move the ball. eat up clock, and same thing for the defense. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Can't be jumping on the quarterback. Can't have the late hits. All those injury, all those type of deals, all those type of injury, all those type of penalties leads to more time of possession for the other teams and giving Russell Wilson too many opportunities.
Yeah, no, seriously, Russell's going to do everything in his power to keep your defense on the field. Don't do anything in your power to keep your defense on the field. Don't have the mistakes like Greenlaw and Al-Shaair made in week 1 where you had that penalty, that key penalty on 3rd down where you're coming off the field. Oh, wait a second. Penalty, you're staying on the field. I think that's going to be key as well. All right, let's talk a little bit about Trey Lance, because Lance, obviously the injury provides a lot of clarity for the 49ers. You know, the season had 2 goals. It was win the Super Bowl and develop Trey. Now developing Trey is going to have to be something that they do on the side. You know, and Shanahan says that, you know, he's not going to miss any meetings. He's going to be there for all of them. He was begging to go on this trip to Denver. But now it's about, you know, prioritizing winning games. And now it's about winning the Super Bowl. And if you can develop Trey, great, but becomes a secondary deal. And then it gets into, well, you know, are the 49ers better off without Trey Lance? Listen to this quote from Rex Ryan. This is Rex Ryan earlier this week on ESPN. And he's talking about the impact of the Lance injury and what it has on the Niners' run to the bowl.
Yeah, it was a brilliant move of signing Garoppolo back. Everybody was talking, all the fans were saying, well, they ought to trade him, they ought to unleash him. No, not unless you're getting the compensation that you want for him. This is why you keep your backup quarterback. All right, it's not charity. You don't give your backup quarterback away, and this is why you keep it. Injuries happen in the NFL. They have a better chance of winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy G than they would with Trey Lance right now because of the experience factor. All right, so to me, I think, you know, I know what Dan's talking about. You know, can he get you the big game? Hell, he's gotten to so many big games before. Will he win it? I don't know, but he can get you there. That for sure we know.
You know, so the Niners went with Trey Lance because they felt like Jimmy was limited on some level. Shanahan doesn't talk about it a lot now, but come on, actions speak louder than words. He got off of the Garoppolo train and said, yeah, we love you, but we don't love you that much. We're going with Trey Lance. Why? Because he felt like Trey Lance, I would imagine, gave them a better chance to win the Super Bowl. But that's maybe long-term thinking. This year, do you agree with Rex? Do the Niners have a better chance to win this year's Super Bowl because Trey got hurt and they're going with Jimmy? Or do you look at Jimmy as a flawed quarterback who maybe is the flavor of the month this moment because he's healthy, but he still has serious flaws that are going to ultimately make the Niners fall short?
Well, for one, nothing's wrong with Jimmy. Jimmy's a starting quarterback. He's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. So we all know that. So I'm happy for Jimmy. For me, Jimmy gets to finish his book. You know, he's get to finish it. You know, this guy came back, all the things that he's went through, he's handled like a pro. I'm glad. I'm disappointed for Trey. Yes, heart goes out for him because I broke my ankle. I understand exactly what he's going through. Toward the deltoid ligament, had to get screws and pins and get the ligament stitched back to the bone. So Trey's done for the year. He's not coming back. But when you look at it, I'm disappointed and hurt. I'm disappointed that he got hurt. But for me, to let Jimmy finish, because Kyle Shanahan, Larry, you know this, he couldn't win. If Trey doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, they would have said, God, should have stayed with Jimmy. If Jimmy doesn't win the Super Bowl and if Trey's not hurt, they would have said, well, why didn't they go with Trey? They drafted him. If Cal didn't, well, what did Kyle Shanahan doing? Now, guess what? Now Jimmy gets to handle this. Cal gets to handle this. It clears up the murky water. But when it comes to Rex Ryan, I'm 50% in agreement. The 50% is right now, yes, I agree that Jimmy is a better quarterback than Trey, far as mentally knowing where to go with the ball, X's and O's. Yes, I believe that Jimmy's better than Trey now. So, yes, I agree with him 50% there. But my point where I disagree is I believe by week 8 and week 9 and 10 and 11, where would Trey had been with Kyle Shanahan's offense, the things that he was going to be able to do with the running game and having this guy being able to move around and do the things that they could do, expand the offense because he understood what Trey brings you as far as being able to run the ball. I think when you look at like week 9 and 10, I think that Trey would have been comparable, if not better, by that time, because now he would have been more assertive. He'd have been knowing where he's been gone. Cal would have been able to take more and more of the gloves off and let this guy develop into the quarterback that he believes. So I don't agree with Rex when it comes to the second half of the season, but right now, the first half of the season, I really do I believe that Jimmy is better, but long term, as far as midseason, I think that's what Cal Shanahan was banking on. He said, look, you guys wait till midseason. All you guys think that this guy's not it. He is going to show you guys. So I think that's what they were banking on.
You know, the Niners lose Trey Lance on the second drive last week against Seattle. So we got to look at Jimmy Garoppolo last week. And, you know, those who maybe weren't paying attention to the radio this week, I mean, it's a broken right ankle. It's a broken right fibula and disrupted ligaments, and he was carted off the field, and he had surgery. And as Shanahan said, he's almost assuredly done for the year, though they won't 100% rule it out. I guess he started walking that back in his TV hit with Greg Papa late in the week. But his stats for the year were that Lance completed 48.4% of his passes, 194 yards, 0 touchdowns, had the 1 pick, and he had 16 rushes for 4.2 yards per carry. If you look at his first 3 starts, he had 31 carries in his first 3 games. I'm going to ask you, though, the question that, you know, everybody at this radio station and every other station around the country has been debating all week. Did Kyle Shanahan get his quarterback hurt? Is there negligence there for how Kyle used him? He ran his quarterback a lot. He ran him between the tackles. Some people would say, you know what? You got a running quarterback. That's how you're supposed. That's what he's got to do. Kyle did this because Trey was raw. Well, it's his job to make him less raw. It's his job to coach him up. And if that's how Trey Lance has to be utilized, and you can't use him any other way, then I don't know. Maybe it's safe to say that at least the debate should be open that maybe you drafted the wrong guy, and that's on you and Lynch. So where do you come in? A lot of people throwing haymakers at Shanahan this week, and he seemed to crack on Friday a little bit. Did he run his quarterback too much? I mean, is it as simple as that? And did he run him too much between the tackles? Weigh in on this, because this has been the topic all week. It has
been a hot button. It's been a very, very hot button. It's been the hot button of the week. One, I would say no. I think I got Lamar Jackson on the phone. I saw this guy run between tackles today to get a touchdown. You saw it. He runs right off the tackle, between guard tackle, ran between there. And you watch what he's done. You saw Josh Allen. You look at Lamar Jackson, how many rushes he had. And you talk about how many were actually called. Chicago, some of that stuff was just busted play. He just made things happen. So how many was actually designed? How many was it the read? Could he give the ball read? What was it? What was those numbers? So I like to see that. Mahomes carried the ball over 60 sometimes during their last year, 400 and some yards rushing. So when you look at some of these quarterbacks, Michael Vick was a guy who carried the ball a lot in the years. So I just think that people wanted to point the finger, and this is what kind of world we live in. We're in a place where no matter what, people are going to have judgment, and they're going to sit here and come at Kyle Shanahan. No. Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he ran him too much. I know that the injury, you saw the injuries. It was a fluke injury. He's sliding, kind of going back. It wasn't like he got held up and someone twisted his ankle. You look at it, wasn't like he took a big shot. Do you know more quarterbacks, and that's what fans don't understand, played this game for a while. Go look at running quarterbacks, a la the Michael Vicks. Go look at, the Lamar Jackson. Look at these running quarterbacks, and go look at then the statuesque quarterbacks that don't or stay in the pocket. Go see how many guys got hurt running outside the pocket or getting guys hurt in the pocket. And I guarantee you the number's way higher for guys in the pocket. Brady got his knee blown out in the pocket. Ben got his knee blown in the pocket. Theismann in the pocket. Go look at these guys. Most of these guys get hurt in the pocket, in between tackles. Big guys falling or hitting them down low. So when you look at it like that, why didn't everyone saying the same thing for those guys? So I get what they're saying, because they look at this trade, say, oh, he's running the ball too much. But no, you have a weapon. His legs is a weapon. Want the guy to be able to run because he can run and he's effective doing it. So I don't believe they ran him too much. I thought that was a fluke accident, and I don't think that would happen again.
I mean, I agree with you that it was a fluke accident, and I disagree with you. I think they ran their quarterback too much. I mean, in 5 quarterbacks or in 5 quarterbacks, in 5 quarters of football that Trey Lance played before his season ended. He had more rushing attempts than he had completed passes. So to me, it just seems like an awful lot of running your quarterback. And I just don't know. To me, I mean, you operated inside, between the tackles, man, and you took it up in there. But that ain't for the meek. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a reason that all these teams had a low Neal leading the way for Corey Dillon and LT and all these backs, Eddie George. It's because there's a lot of big boys in the middle, and you need to clear some room. So I think that, run your quarterback, yeah. Is running going to be part of the deal? Sure. But running your quarterback, almost 50 times, to me, seemed a little if you say where do you stand on it? I know Jalen. No, is Jalen? That's a great question because Jalen Hurts is having success, but is Jalen Hurts going to be healthy at the end of the year?
I see, and that's the thing. When you drafted these guys, you understand who they were. So I get it to average person that say, yes, he ran him too much. So if you look at outside, if it was looking in like that, you say, yes, he's ran him. But if you're a coach and you're a player and you watch how these guys, like Lamar Jackson, how many times he ran the ball? Is everyone saying that Lamar Jackson ran the ball 15, 20 times in one game last week against Miami Dolphins? Look how many times he carried, and people have, and look how many times he carried it today, running touchdowns. So what everyone, we live in a society where it's like, oh, they ran him too much. Oh my God, you can't even count Chicago Bears. That was he ran out. 5 of those was just broken plays. He took off running, trying to survive because it was a monsoon, and people are going to take that as him running them. I think that's a little absurd, and I think that's a little ludicrous when you think about Chicago. So take that game and look at that particular game and see how many times was he running the ball, or how many times did he just breaking plays, especially with the Bears? I don't think the Bears could be accurate because of the weather, and you couldn't really do nothing but run the ball in that type of game. And look at their quarterback, the Bear quarterback. It's 4th and goal last week, and they give a shotgun ball to him, and he's running in between tackles on a quarterback draw where he's getting the ball. So you look at Chicago, they don't care about. It's not that they don't care. This is the kind of quarterback that they drafted. So I get what you're saying, that people saying, hey, they're running too much. They're running these type of quarterbacks too much. But these are the type of quarterbacks that the college game is having success. So the NFL, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I guess if you said to me, what exactly do you want, Krug, I would say, I don't mind running my quarterback 2 to 4 times a game, maybe even 5 to 6 times a game if that was his skill set. I just would want to run him on easy yards. I don't want my quarterback burying his head. I don't want my quarterback taking shots to his throwing arm. I don't want my quarterback taking shots to the head. I don't want my quarterback fighting for extra yards inside the tackle box against defensive tackles and exposing his legs to the defense. I don't know. I mean, I know that running has to be a part of his game. I think I'd like it to be a smaller part going forward. What do you think next year when Trey's healthy? Do you think they utilize him the exact same way, running him between the tackles? Or do you think at that juncture, maybe he's a little bit more developed as a passer and they may, try to limit those touches between the tackles?
I think he'll be more developed and they'll limit some of those. And I still believe it was a fluke incident, and I think that you do have to be careful. And I get what you're saying. But I just look at guys like Lamar Jackson, and he's able to run in between tackles and go watch. And people need to go watch. He doesn't throw the ball better than necessarily Trey, but he can throw the ball when he's got to do it. So I look at big Josh Allen. He runs in between tackles. They got him running quarterback draw. He got freaking smashed today. I mean, seeing him hold the read option, he gets freaking pounded on the goal line. I mean, I know he's a different body type, but I mean, he's getting pounded too. So I just think that you have to be careful when we say that. I think when he comes back, you do have to be careful with him. You can't necessarily run him. I agree. The Chicago game I'm throwing out, but yeah, I'm with you. Anywhere from 5 to 7 times a game. Sometimes could be less, and it's going to be predicated on his body. But how many of those are those 5 to 7 design plays? Is it 5 to 7 where he's going to create at just being an athlete and take off and run at a break on a busted play? So I don't know how much of that you take in consideration, but yeah, with me, I'd like to see him run 5 to 7 times a game, and it depends on what he's doing and how he's running.
Yeah, and it's it's one of these debatable things, and
question.
I mean, and it's. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking the thing, but at the same time, man, it was tough to see this kid lose a whole year of development, taking a hit like that, and it was a freak thing, and it could have happened on any kind of a play. It just happened to be a run inside the tackle box. We'll talk a little bit more about this coming up next. JD's going to join us from Denver, boots on the ground there in Denver. We'll check in with JD coming up next, and I'm going to ask him, is there a rift developing between Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan? We got some glimpses of such on Friday during the presser. We're going to play some of that audio, and we'll discuss it with JD next, who joins us from Denver as we get you ready for the Broncos and the Niners. It's the Kickoff Show with Lo Neal and Larry Krueger on 95.7 The Game.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best TVs,
then we should take our TV ratings and head over to top-rated Video Only.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or dishwashers, but you will find the best deals on the best TVs, soundbars, and home theater systems. Shop around, but then make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael.
Video Only.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Why spend hours negotiating with a car salesman to get the best price for a vehicle you want to buy? At BMW of Fairfield, we give you our very best, most competitive price right up front. By eliminating the price negotiation process, we create a comfortable environment that helps our guests enjoy an experience that's often hostile and difficult at other dealerships. There is a better way. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
Ever since I got the new Galaxy Z Flip 4, I've been learning all these new tricks with my dog Finn. Like how to take the best selfies at the park. I just set my phone down, put it in flex mode, and capture hands-free pics from multiple angles. Aww. Or how to capture our training sessions for his followers. I simply wave my hand to start recording video. Good boy! Plus, the Z Flip 4 is compact and fits perfectly in my pocket.
Oh, wow! Visit Samsung.com today to get the new Galaxy Z Flip 4.
Why does Comcast Business power more businesses than any other provider? It has technology solutions that put you ahead, like the fastest, reliable network and serious savings. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security. Together for just $69.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. New 50 megabits per second internet. Security edge customers only. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable based on RootMetrics US report. Results vary. Not an endorsement.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how?
Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Fruits and vegetables are very environmentally friendly foods. Make them even more friendly by eating them in season. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
What's your retirement look like? With Fidelity Income Planning, a dedicated advisor can help you create a flexible income strategy to grow and protect your wealth so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services member NYSE SIPC.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Rushing touchdown. Geno Smith, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that interception at the end that could have given the Seahawks the lead. But no, Falcons came out victorious. The Packers, they beat the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers had 1 touchdown at the end of the game, but were unable to deliver a 2-point conversion to tie the game. So the Packers won 14-12. Tom Brady, 271 yards. Aaron Rodgers, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Rams, they had no issues with the Cardinals at all. They won 20-12.
Now back to the Kickoff Show with Larry Krueger and Lorenzo Neal on 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. And by Harris Ranch Beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
And thanks to Jim Beam and Harris Ranch Beef for sponsoring the Kickoff Show. Larry Krueger and Lo Neal getting you ready for the Niners and the Broncos. Week 3 in the NFL, and the afternoon games are all final. How about Jacksonville, 38-10 over the Chargers? Wow, that was impressive. Rams beat the Cardinals 20-12. Falcons upset the Seahawks. Mariota gets the win over the Seahawks 27-23. And Green Bay goes into Tampa and knocks off Tom Brady and the Buccaneers 14-12. I saw somebody said the loser between Brady and A-Rod have to call their family, which made me laugh. But John Dickinson joins us, boots on the ground low. JD is joining us from Denver, where he will be on site tonight to watch the Niners and the Denver Broncos. And JD, why don't we start right with the Friday presser? Because to me, this is the juiciest of juicy from the Niner week that was. Lance got hurt. He got hurt running between the tackles. A lot of people questioned it. Then there was a lot of back and forth all week. Do you blame Shanahan? Do you not? Shanahan looks like he hasn't slept a whole lot. And then there was this Friday presser. And here you go. Here's how it went.
Yesterday, Jimmy was talking. He said he felt more freedom on the field on Sunday than he'd felt since 2017. He said freedom's important. It makes him feel confident. I asked him, do you anticipate to have that the rest of the season? He says, it's a good question for you. So I'm asking, what does that mean? Do you know what he means by that? And is that something he's earned more of at this stage in his career?
You'd have to ask him what he meant by that. There was no difference in that game than every game, so you can ask him from that. It was probably just going in when the game plan's for someone else and just coming off and winging it and going with it. That's what I would guess, but sounds like it's a question for him.
Not that Jimmy's comments were terribly controversial, but they're not very Garoppolo-like. Like him saying, oh, this is the way I want to play, and we don't do this much around here. Are you like surprised that he's being fairly outspoken?
No, I really don't know the quote that he said. I'm with Jimmy a lot, so like nothing really surprises me. I get to talk to him every day. I hear your guys' huge interpretations of that quote, and you guys just said it. I can't interpret it. I interpret with my relationship with him every day, so just go ask him what he meant by it.
Okay. Can you facilitate that?
No, I'm not gonna waste my time with that, but you can. I got some real stuff to do.
There you go. That was the exchange. Grant Cohn and then Eric Branch asking questions to Kyle Shanahan Friday in Santa Clara. Is it something? Is it nothing? Is there something minor there? I guess the big question is, Jimmy's referencing there was a freedom in 2017 that he liked, that he kind of suggested was not there after 2017. It sounds like we may be getting a kind of a little bit more of a defiant Jimmy here as he starts his second go-around with the 49ers. Do you sense a rift, either one of you? JD, what do you think?
I don't sense a rift, but I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo has a little bit of an I don't give a bleep kind of attitude to him right now, which I think is a good thing. It's hey, I wasn't expected to be back. You guys didn't really want me back. The circumstances changed, and then he wound up back and now winds up being the starting quarterback again because Trey Lance got hurt. And I think he's just kind of letting it all hang right now. And yeah, he did go in the game and he was able to sling it around a little bbit once he got in for Trey Lance. And I don't think it's a rift by any stretch, but I do think Jimmy is, he knows like his days are probably numbered with the 49ers now. I mean, he thought they already were, but now they almost certainly would be. He's going to play this season out. He's not indebted to the 49ers to not speak his mind. He doesn't project to be the quarterback for the next 5 years or 10 years for this team. So I think he's just kind of letting it hang. And I also think when you just look at the football component to it, it's a matter of, really from the playoffs in 2019, that to me is when things changed with Garoppolo. It was, he got hurt in 18, that's a wash. 19, there were games where they ran it a lot. There were games where he threw it, and games where he helped them win, they were slinging it. But when he threw the interception against Minnesota in the first half of that game, and then they ran it, whatever it was, 10, 12 times in a row after that, and then they ran it like they did in the NFC Championship game with only 8 pass attempts against the Packers, something changed there. And they didn't win the Super Bowl. He didn't hit the throw to Emmanuel Sanders. And then, 2020 was kind of a wash. But there was this belief, I think, from that moment that you had to be cautious with Garoppolo, or Shanahan treated him more with kid gloves. Don't want him to lose the game. Let's focus more on running the game, on running the ball and taking the pressure off. And I think Jimmy kind of looks at it like, you know what, this has sort of been cast as you don't do it because I can't do it, right? Meaning throw the football around the field, but I can do it and I want to do it. And so I think what Kyle Shanahan has to weigh is, do you do it a little bit more? And what's the risk reward? Or if you let Jimmy sling it a little bit, he's going to maybe be more comfortable, but does that lead to more mistakes that could wind up costing you football games?
What's your read, Lo?
Yeah, I just kind of with JD. And JD, I think I want to piggyback off that and ask you, do you think Jimmy's just going to play with more of a chip on his shoulder? If you're Jimmy and you look at the circumstances and the way you just illustrated and things you laid out, do you think it's just Jimmy saying, okay, like you said, he's going to play with that chip on his shoulder, that bravado, because of the fact he knows it's it?
Yeah, I think we've already seen it. I mean, I think we're going to see more of it. I think it's just, hey, I want to. And look, it makes sense for him to want to throw more. I mean, he says he's more comfortable as a player to be throwing it more, but the more numbers he can put up this year in addition to winning is how he's going to get that next contract and have it be a big contract. And I think change the narrative a little bit about who he is as a quarterback. We talk about, game manager and the oh-no throws and a guy that needs all these other things to be successful, needs the running game, needs the great defense. That's why he wins a lot, right? Like that's the conversation around Garoppolo. And I think Garoppolo looks at that and he goes, you know what? Bleep that. Like, I am good. I can throw the football around the field and have that be the reason that my team wins games. And, the kid gloves have kind of come on, and that's fine. That's the way Kyle Shanahan wants to play, and they've won a lot of football games doing it. But I think Jimmy, if there is an area where I think he is a little ticked, it's the fact that over the course of his time with the Niners, it's turned into, well, I run a more conservative offense because he can't make the throws and sling it around the ballpark like some of the other quarterbacks do. And I think he would quibble with that.
Do you think that, okay, so let's stay there, JD. So do you think that Cal believes that? I have never heard Shanahan say that. Do you think Shanahan is going to be more aggressive with Jimmy if Jimmy's alluding that? Do you think Shanahan will say, okay, because I think they have a decent relationship, and I think that he likes Shanahan, and they both generally like you. Do you think Shanahan now says, okay, show me what you're working with? And do they have enough talent to do that?
I don't think much changes for Shanahan. Like, I think Kyle Shanahan, in his mind, believes...
Did you know that most people wait 6?
There are games where he does let Jimmy throw it, or did let Jimmy throw it when Jimmy was the starting quarterback. I mean, if the defense and the opposition is taking certain things away, you have to throw it. And Kyle Shanahan's addressed the fact that there's times where he's had to do it, and that's why they've had throw heavy game plans or circumstances in some of these games. And so it hasn't, I think he would prefer to run it a lot and not turn the football over and the like. But I don't think Kyle Shanahan views it as needing to open it up. I think his answer in the clip that you played and his answer at other times are, hey, there's nothing different going on here. Like, he can feel the way he wants to feel about it, and maybe he said something that we've all glommed onto over the course of the last couple of days. That's fine, but I think he feels like, no, I'm calling plays, and sometimes there's more pass plays and sometimes there's more run plays, and if guy throws an interception, maybe I'm not going to let him, put him in position to throw another one. Like, I think he's annoyed at the fact, talking about Kyle, he's annoyed at the fact that it even became a thing that got asked about, and that's fine. I mean, it's fair game to ask about it, and he can be annoyed that they asked him about it. But I think from a football standpoint, Larry, Kyle looks at it like, what are you talking about? Like, this is not, there's nothing to see here. There are times I let him throw, and there will be times I let him throw. I'm going to come up with same game plans that I've had for the last 4 or 5 years.
I think Kyle wants to scream out, "Hey guys, we've had a lot of freaking success here." You know what I mean?
Sure.
If you haven't noticed,
No doubt.
so maybe I'm not a freaking idiot. You know what I mean? I think he's got a lot of hostility built up that he's just not letting loose. But I think it is a great question at this point. They have a nice bevy of weapons. They added a home run hitter in Danny Gray. They added a home run hitter in Ray McLeod. You got a healthy Ayuk, a healthy Debo. Tonight, a healthy Jennings and Kittle. You got weapons, and you got a defense that's pretty freaking dominant on all 3 levels. Maybe the better plan isn't, 3 yards in a cloud of dust and grind everybody down and run some more. Maybe it's not just more fun for Jimmy. Maybe it's the right game plan to throw it all over the yard and cut, have much, and don't worry so much about the turnovers because you got that good of a defense and you got pretty high octane group of weapons. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't know about you, Lo, but there is a case to be made, at least for right now, when you look around and the running backs are Jeff Wilson, Jordan Mason, and Marlon Mack. Right now, and your other skill guys are the guys that Larry just mentioned. Lo, it's Kittle, it's Debo, it's Ayuk. There's more playmakers on that group than there are in the first group that I mentioned. So, I mean, I think it does make sense. They're still gonna want balance, and look, Shanahan's still gonna want to run it. But I don't know what's your take on that, Lo? Because I think there's a case to be made that throwing it a little more can't hurt. To me, it's all about the mistakes. If you can throw it without, if you're going to throw it more, that can't lead to 2 oh-no throws a game. Like it needs to, the average needs to be a little under 1 on the no throws a game. Like maybe once every 2 games, there's an no throw low.
Right. For me, it's simple. Hell with throwing it 40 and 50 times a game. You know why? You create soft teams. You create an offensive line that forgets how to run block. Look no further than the Chargers. You got an all-world quarterback. You got some pretty good weapons over there, and you get motorboated by Jacksonville. You talk about being able to run the ball. When teams just want to play basketball in the grass, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on a consistent basis. You look at Seattle when they were dominant. Even, hell, look at Tampa when they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They did it running the ball, too. Yes, you got to be able to throw the ball, no question, and make plays when you have to. But if you can't run the ball, and if you're going to play basketball in the grass on a consistent basis, your butt is going to lose some games, and you're not going to be a dominant team. So with me, I like what Cal Shanahan's doing. I think Jimmy should throw the ball. I think he's got some weapons. You got more weapons, like you alluded to, in receivers than you do got running back. But you still got to make sure you keep your team in tune with running the ball. Keep your team physical. Keep your team tough. So I love what Cal Shanahan's doing. With that being said, tonight, what is the key for the Niners? How are they going to go into Denver, and what's got to be the game plan and the focus for them to win tonight, JD, for we can keep having these conversations about success?
For me, it starts with stopping the run and continuing to play the dominant defense. I mean, I think that is the foundation. I think offensively, look, things function better, or I shouldn't say better, but more traditionally. I think things functioned when Garoppolo got in the game against Seattle. Some of the shorter passes were there immediately. Like, look, we've talked about it a lot. There are just some things that Jimmy can do that Trey couldn't do, for all the things that physically Trey could do that Jimmy couldn't do. But I do think it's interesting. You look at the inactives, whether it's Jerry Jeudy or Surtain or Draymond Jones, all 3 of those guys were questionable. All 3 going to play in this one for the Broncos. So there was some question as to how dramatically banged up they could be. They've got some guys that are going to be at least giving it a go a little bit. But, I think, it's going to be an interesting ball game with respect to, stopping the run. The Broncos have been moving the ball, but it's been miserable inside the red zone. They've just been a disaster, unable to punch it in. A couple of fumbles the first week, kicking field goals the second week. So I think it's, continue to work on stopping the run, but also hold the Broncos out of the end zone once they get in the red zone. And then the offensive part of it for me, Larry, is fascinating because I think, and there are a lot of Niner fans here. I was kind of making the rounds down on the field before I came up to talk to you guys. A lot of Niner fans here, but this is an underrated atmosphere, I feel like. We don't talk about it a lot as it pertains to the Niners because they come here once every 8 years, but this can be a hostile environment. The altitude, it's a little warm. I know, Lo, like it's probably a top 5 crowd when the fans are here and when the fans are into it. It's also, temperatures in the 70s. It's going to cool down a little bit, but it's a little warm. So I'm interested to see how that maybe plays a role in some of the things today. It's
going to be interesting. Denver's kind of built to put games away with, they got Surtain on the corner, and then you got Gregory and Chubb coming off the edges. And listen to Chris Forster talking about, dealing with these edge rushers. Yeah. You can tell. I mean, it's kept him up a lot this week. Let me ask you this. Do you think Emmanuel Mosley and Mooney Ward can stand up to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy? Because the one thing about Russ is we know he's taking shots down the field. It's not like, he may not. He's taking shots down the field. What he still does at a high level is throw the deep ball. What do you think? Can the Niners corners match up? Do we have JD that's still there? JD, can you hear us?
I lost you guys there for a second.
Probably in the elevator for a second.
Yeah, I was just asking if you thought Mosley and Mooney Ward can hold up against Sutton and Jeudy, knowing that Russ is going to test them.
Yeah, it's a great test, and I think to me it's more. I think they can, as long as the 49ers are able to keep Russ in the pocket. Like I think they will be capable, but to me it's more. is Wilson, and he looks a little bit less mobile, but is it the broken plays? The broken plays have just killed the Niners over the years. His ability to escape, and it looks like maybe he's not quite physically able to do it as much as he did. I think that's something to kind of keep an eye on tonight. But to me, it's him extending the play. Like, I think those guys can hold up against the initial play just fine if they're looking to throw quick outs or short stuff or whatever, even the play action deep balls and all of that. Like, I think they can hold on in that vein. Where I worry is the broken plays, the backyard football, the escapes where you got to cover and then keep covering, and that's where we've seen just Russ be so devastating low against the Niners specifically over the years.
And with that being said, JD, where do you see the two teams' advantages? What's the advantage for Denver, and where's the Niners' big advantage, if you had to pinpoint something?
I think the edge rushers for Denver in particular, I think the Niners are going to have to contend with the two guys coming off the edge there. I think the Niners can move the football, though. I think Kyle Shanahan, for the most part, he's got Kittle back, and to me the Kittle-Garoppolo combination, maybe you go away from the wide receivers, but things open up for Kittle and open up for Juszczyk a little bit more in the passing game as well. So I think getting Kittle back with Garoppolo on the same night, I think is that's a big deal, because Kittle is Garoppolo's favorite target in this one. But I'm just fascinated to see how it plays out, because I think my gut on this game all week has been, people are a little too high on the Niners going into this one, and people are a little too low on the Broncos because of their first two games and losing at Seattle and having an ugly win against Houston. And you saw the line move a lot this week from Denver originally being a favorite to the Niners being a favorite. I think Denver's a little better than people have given them credit for, and I don't know about the night. Like, we'll see. Like, is it all going to function in this what can be a hostile environment with Jimmy Garoppolo back at quarterback? This is a big one for if the Niners can get tonight. All of a sudden, the season's on schedule, and you win a tough game in a tough road environment, and it does start to, I think, feel a little bit like years past when Jimmy was able to get this team on some big runs.
JD, what do you think? No Eric Armstead. We saw Akeem Spence is up tonight. So's Givens and Ridgeway and Hyder. Who do you think gets the start? How do you think Coach Eric kind of reconfigures his line to compensate?
Yeah, I think Givens is a key player, and he's played well these first couple of weeks. But I think he's going to be a key to helping just plug up the run. Denver's going to want to run the football, and they've had some success with it a little bit early on. But that's the one area where you probably worry the least if you're the 49ers right now, because all of those names that you mentioned are all just that they're all capable. And the Niners, they're all very similar talent level players, maybe with different skill sets, but the Niners are just in this position where they have so many of them that you can get by. You can't get by if you're not going to have Eric Armstead for half a season or for a full season. Then you're in trouble. But you do have the ability to get by and have some guys that can help help plug up the middle a little bit on that defensive line. That's where it's a luxury. All of the names that they have, to be able to trot out there that not a lot of teams do.
What's your prediction? We'll let you go with this. What are you predicting? I think Bosa and Ebukam dominate their tackles. I think the Niners put a lot of rush on Russell and win this one. I wouldn't say easily, but by more than one score. What do you see?
Yeah, I think the Niners. This is a tough game. I think the Niners are going to have to eke it out. I think it's kind of a lower scoring back and forth kind of a game. I think it's a 23-20 Niners kind of a win. And I could easily see this game being a loss. Like, I think this is a coin flip game. I know a lot of people are really high on the Niners, like we were just talking about, but I definitely don't think that this game is a lock by any stretch. My gut is that the Broncos are almost due to play their best game of the season to this point through the first 3. And if they do, then it could turn into a little bit of an uphill climb in what can be a hostile environment. But I'm gonna lean Niners 23-20 with maybe a late Robbie Gould field goal.
There you go. JD, great stuff. Good weather tonight. Perfect football weather in Denver.
Beautiful. A little warm, maybe, although it is supposed to cool off. But just being down on the field, you did feel it. Like you felt, hey, it's 75 degrees or so, but it is supposed to dip down into the 60s. Yeah, gorgeous day here in the Mile High City, guys.
Enjoy the game. Always good to wrap with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
You got it.
John Dickinson, boots on the ground there in Denver as the Niners getting ready to take on the Denver Broncos. All right, Lo, that's going to do it for us. We should remind everybody, after this thing's over, check out Alan Stiles and Kyle Madsen. They're going to take your phone calls. And when I say right when it ends, right when it ends. I mean, when the clock hits 0 in the fourth quarter, if it goes overtime and overtime, tune in to 95.7 The Game. They're going to be taking your calls, breaking it down, going through the box score, talking about all the different subplots to this thing. So that's coming up later on. And thanks to JD and thanks to Kyle Posey. And Lo, thanks to you, man. That was a quick 2 hours, man. It came and went.
It was, brother.
What's
No
your
question.
thought? What's
Well,
your prediction? What's your final prediction on this one?
I'm with JD. It's going to be a tough game. You got to realize all the things surrounding, Russ, what's going on in Denver. They're going to come out and they're going to be a physical game. I like the Niners, but it's going to be a nail biter. Physical
All right.
game.
I'm going to go 27-17. I just think Denver's new coach, new coordinators, new quarterback. They're just, there's a lot of newness in their organization, and I just think they're not quite ready to take on an established franchise like the 49ers with all the talent they have. So I like the Niners to get the win, but nothing is easy in the NFL. Lo, great stuff, man. We'll talk to you next week.
You too.
For Lo Neal, I'm Larry Kruger. That does it for the Kickoff Show. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes. Make sure you check out Kyle and Alan after the game. They'll take your phone calls and hopefully talk about a 49er victory. That does it for the Kickoff Show. Enjoy the rest of your evening on 95.7 The Game.
7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1, San Francisco. On Odyssey Station.
Hospital, more than a university, beyond science and technology. We are the people of UCSF. UCSF Health, redefining possible.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. Fruits and vegetables are very environmentally friendly foods. Make them even more friendly by eating them in season and choosing produce that is local and organic. Shopping at farmers markets are a great way to do both, and you can also start growing fruits and vegetables in your own garden. Even if you live in an apartment, you can start with a few potted plants. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Hi, it's Kim Wonderly. You know the new car allowance rebate system? It's also known as the Cash for Clunker program. Well, it's now in effect, and that means you may be eligible to trade in your clunker and get as much as $4,500 credit toward a new car. So how can you get cash for your clunker? It's simple. Go to cars.gov or kcbs.com, keyword clunker. Look for our special list of Bay Area dealers approved to offer you the clunker rebate.
Listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1, San Francisco. On Odyssey Station.
Show me the money.
Takes a handoff. Lamar will keep it. He's got room. He's to the 5. He walks in. Touchdown. Lamar Jackson with a knockout shot.
Rock Ravens Radio Network on the call. The Ravens outscored the Patriots 37-26. Lamar Jackson threw for 218 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he rushed for 107 yards and that 1 touchdown. Patriots quarterback Mac Jones suffered a serious leg injury at the end of the game. X-rays were negative. He will address the media tomorrow. The Jaguars had their way with the Chargers, dominating them 38-10. James Robinson rushed for 100 yards and a touchdown for the Jaguars. The Falcons outscored the Seahawks 27-23 and sealed the victory with an interception interception in the last 90 seconds of the game. The Packers took on the Buccaneers and won 14-12. Tom Brady had one touchdown at the end of the game, but they were unable to deliver a 2-point conversion to tie the game, so final score was 14-12. I'm Monty Bolaños.
This is Fox Football Sunday. You're listening to Fox Football Sunday. And we're breaking down your football day.
The big guy's going to take it to the house.
From the plays to post-game, your football teams are repped here. Fox Football Sunday is now.
Ready? Go.
Live from the TireRack.com studios of Fox Sports Radio, here's Covino and Rich.
All right, break out the Tire Rack.
Tire Rack.
All right, Covino and Rich, Fox Football Sunday. Our last Fox Football Sunday before we're on every day.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Let's hear it for us.
Yeah.